It's interesting that the lady from Kenton and I have not talked before now, but my concern is, we've talked a lot in this chamber about education this year, and we've talked a lot about how we put more and more onto our educators to do more and more with less and less time, and sometimes even resources. And I think our school counselors are a perfect example of this. When any of us went through school, our school counselors were there for, if you had a bad day, if you'd had a fight, if there was some kind of drama, those school counselors were watching. They were involved. They were part of the students' lives, and they knew when to pull somebody aside and give them a hand, give them a lift. And sadly, that's really where most counselors probably want to be still today, but because of all the regulations that they're now tasked with dealing with, paperwork, making sure that kids have college entrance FAFSAs and all the things that go along with that, we've lost the focus of what our counselors were originally intended to be. My concern with this bill, and I support this bill, my concern with this bill is we'll hire mental advocates for our kids, which are needed, and we'll pile more regulations on them as well, taking them away from what their intended purposes were. I think as part of this measure that we're considering today, we need to also be considering, are we using our school staff like they're intended to be? I know House Bill 200 that we passed earlier this session, it's still sitting over in the Senate. 68% of our entire general fund spending is going to some form of educational spend. 68%. I don't know that we have a funding issue, although I think we do need more funds. I think we have a management issue where we've forced more stuff down our educators' throats. So, Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of this bill, but I don't want to continue throwing more money at it without looking at the other things that are going on. We've got to reevaluate what the purpose of each individual in our school system's employment is for. Teachers are there to teach, not to fill out paperwork. Teachers are there to teach, grade papers, go over those papers. I've seen where my teachers are sometimes with my children, they haven't had pages graded and the semester's over, or the 6 weeks is over. How can the kids know if they're doing the right thing in their classwork if they can't get marks back, red marks, knowing what they've done wrong? Guys, we got to think about what are we doing in our schools? What are we putting on our teachers, our counselors? We got to evaluate that, and we need to listen to that. Let's let our teachers teach. Let's let our principals guide. Let's let our counselors counsel. It's too important not to. So, I rise in support of this, and I think we need to do this. And I really do appreciate the gentleman from Marshall, the gentleman from McCracken who worked on this. But we can't stop with just this. It's got to be more. I tell my daughter, I have a daughter who's a junior in high school. She's a very attractive young woman. She's extremely smart, makes straight A's, probably in the popular crowd, I'm sure, although I don't know, I don't walk the halls. And I say to her, look for that kid who's lonely. Look for that kid who really doesn't have any friends. Look for that kid who probably comes from a really bad family life and doesn't have the parental support you got, and go tell them, hey, good to see you today. Hey, I like that shirt. Or hey, hope you're doing well. So can you imagine what that kid would feel like if you're the loner and one of the cutest girls in school just says something nice to you? People, that's what we got to get back to. We got to get back to being a loving community. I've seen so much anger and hatred coming out of all this. This has been the ugliest session I've ever been a part of. And our children are watching. It's time that we teach love. It's time that we allow our teachers to teach and our counselors to counsel and start acting like the people we know we need to be. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.